I've imported this image into Lightburn, and I've also got a little editing box over here that's 50 by 60 millimeters. And I'm going to move this over onto the image, and I want to get, usually an eye has a lot of good contrast in it and some highlights and a little bit of white space and some other parts of the image that have some good gradations in them. And then if you turn off the image, you can duplicate that little editing box because you're going to lose one of them when you crop the image. And turn it back on and select the image. And now duplicate that and move it over. And then you can turn that off again and select one of those boxes. Turn the image on, select the image, and then right-click and crop the image. Now you can lay these images out on your stock, and that'll give you a little test grid, and we can start to change the properties of some of these individual elements. I brought in some text underneath one of these, and I put a number up in the corner. And I'm going to duplicate those text elements and copy them onto each one of these. Duplicate and move them over. And then you can start to change the text. I'll change the numbers first. You need to make sure you have this shape properties dialog open, and you can find that up there at the top under window and turn it on, and this will give you the individual properties for each one of these little image crops. You can start to change some things like contrast, gamma, brightness, power. So just try some different things and add more copies if you wanted to experiment a little more. So I'll leave the first one as it is, and then I'll change the second one. I'll boost the brightness and contrast 2 steps, and then make sure to change the text underneath each one as you go so you don't forget where you've set it. This third one, I'll boost it 3 and 3 and increase the gamma a little bit. And the last one, I'll increase it to 4 and 4, and I'll bring the gamma up a little bit more. Now when I click on these, it'll tell me where I've set the gamma and the brightness, and I can change the text properties to match that. So each one will have a little label. And if you want, you can engrave these labels on your test pieces and save them, but I'm just going to leave them in the file here. And then I'm going to duplicate these little images and lay them out in the cut area and engrave them. I've got my stock outline and the images selected, and then I'll duplicate them, and then I'll go up here to the dialog box, and I'm using the lower left corner to position them in the cut area, and then we'll be about ready to turn on the engraver and see how these come out. Now if you select these and go up to this little preview button at the top, it'll show you how it's going to engrave them, and it's a little hard to see the differences in this rendering, so you almost have to just go ahead and engrave them, and then you'll start to see the differences in the different contrast and brightness that you've set on these. The advantage to these test engravings is that they only take a couple of minutes a piece to engrave, So you can try a lot of different things and make some changes pretty quickly. It's a little hard to see in this video, but the originals are a little muddier because I increased the contrast on the other ones. And I'm looking for a little more contrast because I'm going to color in some of these engravings. And I'm getting a little bit darker blacks on some of these where I've increased the contrast. And the bottom row there, I added a couple more, and I changed the dither method from Jarvis to Atkinson just to see if there was much difference, and I don't notice a whole lot, so I'll probably just stick with the Jarvis dithering on the ones that I do. But this just shows you how you could multiply these little sample pieces and change a lot of different parameters and try different things. If you want to change the dithering method, it's easier to put them on a different layer and then change the layer properties to different dithering. But you can see where you can experiment with power levels and speeds and different dithering to get some different results. Well, here's the final result. And if you found this video useful, please subscribe and ask any questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching.